Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are at the last session of the evening, best for last, right? I would like to welcome Rebecca, Marilyn, Meredith, all from the Faculty of Law at UWA. I'm going to hand things right over to the three of them. If you do have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat as we go, and you can also jump back into Career Echo after the session as well for questions. So, ladies, over to you.
Great, thanks so much. Before I share the screen and get the shared PowerPoint up, I just want to show all of you something. This is my life-size Celine Dion. I am originally from Toronto, and I've been in Perth, Australia for about 15 years. And I've got a very big milestone birthday coming up. And there's a company in Australia called O Canada, and they sell they're an online store where you can get anything Canadian. So for example, I got these Canada balloons from them as well, and you can get all sorts of Canadian food like and drink like Mott's Clamato, like Canada Dry as well, and they're fantastic, and you know, I might be one of their best customers. So let me just share the screen now. And I'll get out the PowerPoint. Okay, can everybody, can you raise your hand if you can see the PowerPoint? Okay, great. I got a yes. Fabulous. Okay. Okay, so my part of the presentation will speak about what it's like to be Canadian in Perth. Okay, so I'm going to just very quickly talk about my background, the differences between Canada and Perth, Australia, which I've observed, studying at UWA, and then other relevant information. So my background, as I said previously, I'm from Toronto, Ontario, and I did my first degree at the Schulich School of Business at York University in Toronto, so that was in business administration. In 2006, I moved to Perth, and then I did my LLB at UWA, and I graduated in 2009. So the LLB is not currently a degree that's offered at UWA. Now it's the Juris Doctor, but Rebecca will speak about that shortly. And then I did a PhD at Murdoch University in Perth, and I graduated from that in 2014. So in terms of studying at UWA and why I decided to study at UWA, UWA is very high in the world rankings. Our law school does extremely well, and Rebecca will elaborate about that. As well, the size, it's a good size for a university. I felt it's about 25,000, 26,000 students. So for those of you who might have studied at or are familiar with Queen's University in Ontario, so it's about a similar size to Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. And the architecture is different, and it's really interesting and really beautiful. So for example, there are open corridors, so you can walk down a corridor and it's partially outside, as opposed to back home in Canada, where it would be fully inside due to the weather. And people at UWA are just outstanding. I found just extremely nice and caring. And in terms of study expectations, they're similar to what I expected, what I experienced back in Canada. So in terms of the differences between Canada and Perth, I importantly have to tell you that there are no Tim Hortons in Australia yet, so which is unfortunate. So I did go through a little bit of a shock not being able to go to Timmy's regularly, but I quickly got over that because there are lots of other amazing coffee and donut places in Australia. The weather and beaches, that was such a huge change. Just, I have not seen snow once in Australia, and I never will. So, it's just a huge change, a huge positive change for me. And also beaches, like in Toronto, beaches were always something that, or good beaches were something I always associate with vacation, whereas you don't have to be on vacation to go to a beach in Perth. They're everywhere. There are over, I believe, 20 in the greater Perth area, and they're just beautiful. And, I basically during the summer go once every weekend. And it's just beautiful, and I really appreciate it. And also in Perth, something that's also a significant difference for me coming from Toronto, which is a huge city, but may not be as much for those of you from Canada who come from a smaller city, is traffic. So, I haven't experienced a Toronto style traffic jam in Perth ever, and I suspect that I never will. So Canada Day in Perth. So Canada Day has always been one of the most important days of the year for me, and I love it. And I just have been very fortunate that there are lots of Canada Day festivities in Perth to choose from. So, for example, there's a bar in Perth called the Aviary, and they put on a huge Canada Day event every year where they, with the exception obviously of during COVID, they play only Canadian music, and they offer lots of Canadian food. So on the right there is just part of the Canada Day menu at the Aviary. So they've got Gosling's chicken wings, for example, they've got poutine, etc. As well, UWA has hosted a Canada Day event, and there have been also other different Canada Day events in Perth, and I always go to one every year. The time differences, between here, Perth and Toronto, normally it's about 12 or 13 hours. And I just spoke to my parents in Toronto about 20-30 minutes ago, and the time difference can be a bit of a challenge, but it often can be reasonable in terms of, you speak to people back home in the morning or the evening, and it's the opposite back there. When traveling home, there are all sorts of ways to travel home, and post-COVID, I look forward to going back to Toronto. Before COVID, I used to get to Toronto through Sydney, then Los Angeles, or through Hong Kong. And I used to really enjoy the stopovers on the way to visiting Toronto. So in terms of if you are homesick, if you are in Perth, there are some really interesting and fun events and places to go. So for example, on the left there's a photo of Cabin 140, which is a restaurant that's hockey themed. You can watch ice hockey, and you can eat all sorts of North American delicacies, and they even have poutine, for example, and lots of different chicken wing flavors. And as I said, there's options in terms of what you can do in Perth on Canada Day that are fantastic. And there's also the Canuck Truck, which is a food truck that offers delicious Canadian food. And there's the Canadian Club of Western Australia, which is a club in WA that's for people who are Canadian, and I'm a member of that club. And every couple of weeks, there's some sort of event where Canadians get together and meet up and talk about all sorts of issues. But it's a great way to meet people from back home, and to get that sense as well that you are part of a group that doesn't mind talking about Canada as much as possible. They're a really great group of Canadians from all over the country who are located in Perth and other areas of Western Australia. And there's also the Perth Recreational Ice Hockey Club, which is quite popular, and you can see some great ice hockey games being played, or you can participate in some excellent ice hockey games. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm always happy to answer them. And now I will hand over the presentation to Rebecca.
Thanks very much, Marilyn, for sharing with us your experiences as a Canadian in Perth, and we certainly all really enjoy having Marilyn here with us in the law school. I'm going to talk a bit now about the UWA Law School and also about the JD in particular. So I'm just going to sort out the screen share. Marilyn, I think if you could please turn your screen share off, I'll be able to turn mine on and then we'll make a start. Fantastic. So I'm just calling up the slides here. Can everybody see the slides now? Fantastic, thank you. Well, first of all, I thought it was worth talking about the UWA Law School and where we are and what life is like here in Perth. So you can see here, this is a photo of some of the students in our law courtyard, which is really a central hub for us within the law school. And as I'm sure you're already all aware, here we are, Perth in WA, over on the west coast. We have been rated the 7th most livable city in the world. Certainly the lifestyle here is really fantastic. And we were actually saying before the session starts, even on a day like today, where the forecast was supposed to be wintry and wet, we've woken to a beautiful sunny morning here today, which just makes it really lovely. And in particular, why might you be interested in coming to UWA? Marilyn mentioned that UWA is highly ranked in the University World Rankings. UWA is in the top 100 in the world rankings and is the first in Western Australia. We're also a member of the group of 8 leading universities in Australia. We belong to the World Universities Network and the Matariki Network. Our law school has been around for a long time. We were founded in 1928, which makes us Australia's 5th oldest law school and WA's first law school. We have extremely high rates of graduate employment with graduates from the law school here, and I'm going to talk about that in relation to the JD in a moment. We have a real history of producing excellent graduates, and as part of that, our history does include 19 Rhodes Scholars and 4 Fulbright Scholars, and that was actually in a 4-year period, the Fulbright Scholars there. And as part of our history, we are ranked in the top 75 law schools in the world. And part of that is because we really do have progressive and innovative programs. And you'll see when I talk through the JD that we have a real commitment in this law school to creating teaching and learning experiences that are innovative and at the forefront of legal education, and also connecting with what the profession needs from our graduates. As part of that, we have very strong links with alumni, judges, private law firms, business corporations, public interest movements, government and NGOs. This is part of who we are. We do involve experienced professionals in teaching in various parts of our degree together with our highly experienced academics. And we try to ensure as you go through your legal education here that you're exposed to not only developing academic understanding, but also the skills that you'll need to succeed in practice once you graduate, finish with us. I've put up our mission here so that you can see our focus, and you can see that we're really committed to providing a creative and supportive teaching, learning and research environment of legal excellence that fosters critical thought, ethical scholarship and practice, and connects with diverse communities. So that is our mission statement here in the law school. In terms of our alumni, our students go on to work in a real range of fields. Many of them, if they've come through the JD as a qualifying degree, go on to become practicing solicitors or barristers. We also have had graduates become judges, company directors, politicians, work in the corporate field, in the areas of international relations, foreign affairs, defence and a number of other areas. So a whole range of career paths open up once you've completed your law degree here. have a really great body of staff here. I'm sure Marilyn and Meredith would agree. We have really committed, dedicated staff coming from a range of backgrounds, and it brings a fantastic diversity to our law school. We specialise as an academic staff in a really wide range of fields. So whatever your interest area, it's likely that there will be some staff here who are also interested in and experts in that field. And we are focused on delivering world-class teaching programs and on research with impact and relevance. Our students are really, really strong. They're very high standard. They're lovely to work with. They're committed. They're collegiate. And we take steps within the structure of the JD to really foster that sense of collegiality and support among each of our cohorts. In the law school itself, we have over 1,000 undergraduate students, over 500 Juris Doctor students, and then we also have grad diploma and master's students, and a number of PhD and Masters by Research students. In terms of our courses, we have undergrad courses, the Juris Doctor, which is our professional qualification, and that's the one I'll talk more about today. Then we also offer postgraduate programs, including Masters and PhD. So let's turn now to look at the Juris Doctor. This here is a photo of the river, the lovely Swan River, and it's taken from Matilda Bay, which is just across the road from the law school. So this is a view that can welcome you to campus each morning here. The JD model really involves the Juris Doctor as a professional postgraduate degree. So you are required to complete an undergraduate degree before moving into the Juris Doctor study. The JD is our flagship qualifying degree, and on completion of the JD, you are eligible to apply for admission as a lawyer with the Legal Practice Board of WA. You can also apply for membership of the Law Society of WA whilst you're with us at university. The JD runs for 3 years full-time, or it can be up to 9 years on a part-time basis. And the degree is accredited by the Legal Practice Board here in Western Australia. It's also recognised in China, Malaysia and Singapore. Coming from Canada, you will need to complete 5 additional units at the end of your JD to qualify for admission in Canada. And we have an arrangement with Bond University where you can complete those units following your JD study here with us. In terms of time commitment, you would be looking at approximately 40 hours per week over 12 weeks for your JD study. That includes contact hours, personal study time, and your examinations. So what is the JD as opposed to, say, a bachelor's degree? The Juris Doctor is taught at a postgraduate level, so it's a professional postgraduate law degree. What that means is that we can teach at a really high level. Students come in already having mastered another field and able to operate at a high level. So you graduate from a Juris Doctor with a very high degree of skill and understanding of the law. The JD as a type of degree was introduced at Harvard University in the 19th century. And as many of you are probably aware, coming from Canada, it's also the principal law degree for admission to practice in the US and Canada. Why would you come study the UWA JD? One key reason is the opportunity to learn from the very best of the legal profession and award-winning academics. We have a number of academics here who have been recognised nationally on the Australian level for excellence in teaching and research. And we really do have a culture of focusing on what we're doing and questioning what we're doing and working together to continually improve. There's a significant emphasis on practical and professional skill building throughout the JD and on an inquiry approach to learning. And the reason we do this is to produce graduates who are able to distinguish themselves in the workforce. We want you to be able to graduate competent to take on the tasks that you'll be given right from day one in your graduate position. And so we really do focus on skills, and partly we do that through integration into the core units of the degree. We also do it through having 3 of our core units taught in intensive mode. So we have a 2-week period where students are on campus every day and working together in these core units. And this enables us to teach and enables you to learn in a really hands-on way, where a lot of the learning is through doing. And we found that this really enables us to support the development of skills and the building of skills that you need to be effective lawyers and practitioners once you graduate. You can study here with high achieving students in an inclusive environment and build lifelong friendships with a diverse and vibrant cohort of future leaders. We really try to foster this sense of cohort collegiality, and partly that's done through these 3 intensive units. They're run one each year in the 2 weeks immediately preceding the start of the normal semester. So that means that from day one, you'll be meeting the whole cohort and spending 2 weeks with them 9 to 5 every day. That really helps you to make friends quickly and feel a sense of connection here and have friends to come with you and share your time as a law student. We are at the forefront of innovation in legal education, and we do this in many ways, but some of the key ways in which we achieve this are through Indigenisation of the JD curriculum. This is an Australian first initiative that seeks to embed Indigenous knowledge, experiences and laws across the Juris Doctor. And we do this through the core units. One example which I've just been working with this semester is when we teach corporations law, we include a significant case study on Juukan Gorge and on Rio Tinto's blasting of sacred sites at Juukan Gorge. So we really weave that throughout our curriculum. We also introduce our students to cutting-edge technological developments in the law and in the provision of legal services. And this includes introducing you to artificial intelligence and the possibilities and change that that's bringing to the legal profession. And we have progressive and interesting elective offerings. So these include units such as satellites, space law and drones, a number of international units. We have a unit on legal aptitude where you work closely with industry or non-profit organisations to create legal apps that they will actually use in their day-to-day operations. So a real range of units, and I'll put them up in a moment so you can see. We also have a very high graduate employment rate. It was 91%, it actually went up to 93% subsequently for our 2018 graduating cohort. That did go down slightly under COVID, but even so last year, in November of last year, 86% of our final year students had already secured employment before they'd even finished their final exams and graduated. So we are really pleased with those graduate employment rates, and I think that speaks to the quality of students that we're able to produce through the JD here. We also include comprehensive and integrated wellbeing and professionalism programs. And partly this is done through integrating wellbeing throughout. From the very first unit, we'll be working with you on wellbeing, both during your studies and in the workplace. We also model and teach professionalism, and we include a final year core unit, one of our intensive 2-week ones, which focuses on professional practice and the skills and attributes that you'll need to succeed in the workplace. I put up here a photo of Tilly, who is our JD wellness therapy dog. She belongs to one of our staff members, but she's very friendly and cuddly and often available for cuddles and walks and pats if you would like to spend some time with her while you're here. So we're all very fond of Tilly. We include a lot of hands-on experience opportunities within the Juris Doctor. And the purpose of this is to balance the theory and the academics of what we're learning with how that applies to practice. So you can choose to engage in mooting competitions, client interview competitions, and you can also be involved in the editing for Australia's first university law journal, the UWA Law Review. There are quite a few opportunities for work integrated learning. And one of these, which is very popular among our students, is the legal internship unit. This involves a 12-week legal placement. It's one of your units of the JD, so it counts for your study. And what happens is you spend a day a week in a legal workplace, supported by fortnightly seminars to equip you with the skills and experience that you need to succeed in that placement. We also have a clinical legal education unit, which is situated in our mediation clinic, or you can also choose to undertake a legal education clinical placement with the UWA Technology, Law and Governance Lab, which is an initiative set up with the Minderoo Foundation and working on some really exciting research and developments in the field of tech and law, which is a burgeoning interest area at the moment. There's a legal aptitude elective, which I've just spoken about, and that involves working with an organisation to develop an app. We also work on really developing skills throughout the degree, so including dispute resolution, negotiation skills, drafting skills. You will have had opportunities to draft documents and including letters to clients, legal advisors, but also commercial agreements, warranties, indemnities, joint ventures, share sale agreements before you finish with us. So what does the JD look like? If you choose to study the Juris Doctor full-time, there are equivalent of 4 units each semester. The units here with an asterisk, so this is first year, second year and third year. The units with an asterisk are taught in intensive mode for 2 weeks before the semester begins. That also means you have a slightly lighter workload during semester in the first semester each year. And you can see here that the JD includes 17 core units and then 7 option units where you can choose what you would like to study. And here's a list of our option units. We are regularly adding new and different units to this. For example, this year we added a fantastic unit in advanced criminal law and procedure, which Meredith has run and coordinated, and that's really dealt with some interesting areas in the development of criminal law. So you can see there's a real range. There are a grouping of practical units, some substantive international units, and we do require you to take 1 international law unit, and then a whole range of other fields that you can choose to study with your option unit. How do you apply for entry to the Juris Doctor? There are a number of pathways in. For most of you coming from Canada, you would probably be looking at our standard entry pathway, which is where we request a GPA of 5.5, minimum GPA of 5.5 out of 7, or the UWA equivalent. The WAM no longer applies. So what we're looking for is that GPA of 5.5 or the UWA equivalent. And for international students, the English language test result is needed as well. There are a number of other pathways in also, including our equity and diversity pathway, an Indigenous entry pathway, and a pathway for mature age applicants. That's all I had planned to say about the Juris Doctor. If you have any questions, you're welcome to put them up on the chat and we'll address them for you this morning. I'll hand over now to Meredith Blake, who will talk to you about the UWA University of Denver Dual JD program. Thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, please contact us. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Bec. Hi, everyone. Excuse my voice, but I've got a bit of a cold. But Bec, have you, can you take your slides down? And I'll share my screen. I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk more generally about the international opportunities that are offered within the JD. So my position is Director of International Partnerships and Exchange. Sounds like a pretty grand title. But realistically, what it's about is all the opportunities that you have while studying the JD to do some international study incorporated within your JD. Now, I just need to try and find the actual, let me see, oh, here we are. Sorry, everyone. I'm just trying to find my files. They don't seem to have appeared. Right. Can you see that now? No. Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll just talk about it rather than try and find and display the screens.
Meredith,
So,
do you want me, would you like me to use the slides at my end and scroll down?
Yeah, sure. Yep. That'd be good, thanks.
No problem. I'll just pop in. Can you see that?
Yes.
If you need me to scroll down and I haven't, please let me know.
Yeah, if you, right, okay, so before we go down to the Denver program though, I'd just like to say a couple of things about the other opportunities that we have. So we have short-term opportunities within the JD, and these are situations where students can go to various programs overseas and attain credit for that study. So one of the main ones that we have that students, quite popular with students, is the Mishpautum Exchange. And in that situation, UWA JD students undertake the 3-week program in January. That is at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. And it generally runs from the 3rd of January to the 28th of January. So that's when it's running next year, 2022. Now, obviously it's probably not relevant for next year, but that is something that annually JD students have done to obtain 6 points credit, which is the equivalent of 1 option unit. There are other possibilities, including through a program called AIM Overseas. This is an undergraduate program, but it is possible for Juris Doctor students to receive 1 option unit credit, again 6 points, if the unit is approved or if the program is approved by myself as director as substantially equivalent in form and substance to a Juris Doctor level unit. So those are the 2 main short-term opportunities, which involve studying a program, a short-term program around 3 weeks, which can then give you 6 points of credit or the equivalent of a unit. We also have a standard semester exchange, which is with a list of law schools in Europe and in North America. And that is where students usually in their 2nd semester of 2nd year travel to one of these law schools, and they do the equivalent of 4 option units or 24 points. So this is quite popular, and it involves working with me to ensure that the students have a course plan which will accommodate them travelling overseas to do the equivalent of 4 units at one of the universities. For example, we have law schools in Denmark, Italy, Germany, Sweden, Netherlands, and Norway from Europe, which we have exchange arrangements with. And then we have several in Canada, if you want to go back for a semester, and in the United States. So that's a further opportunity. So what I'm going to talk about now is the University of Denver Dual JD program. So this is an arrangement, what we call a 2+2. So this is a situation where you can get a JD from UWA and a JD from Sturm College of Law in Denver. So you would either start in Denver or you'd start here, and then you would spend your first 2 years in either of those law schools, and then spend the next 2 years in the other law school. So the good thing about this is that once you've done the 4 years, 2+2, you then have the opportunity to practice in either jurisdiction after, of course, you've completed any relevant professional qualifications. So the program looks a little bit like this. Bec, if you could just scroll down again. Thank you. You can hopefully see from that the first year of the program involves doing, or the first 2 years, if you do them in Perth, involves doing all of our core units. Then when you go over to Denver, you have to do some of the units over there, which include mainly public law units and criminal law, as well as various option units. So it does involve a particular course structure, which emphasises completing in the first 2 years the core units at that institution. So it operates in the same way with the Stern College of Law. If you start in Denver, you do your first 2 years there, which will be comprised mainly of core units, and then you come over here, and again, you would need to do our public law units and our criminal law units, but otherwise you can fill up your program with a selection from the option units. One of the really good things about Stern College of Law is that students in their final year get the opportunity to go and work with various organisations in placements, and quite often those placements are paid. So that's how the Denver Exchange works. It is a really unique opportunity for you to attain 2 Juris Doctors, and one of them, of course, being in North America, and being able to practice in both jurisdictions once you've finished your completion of the professional qualifications. The only other opportunity that I am omitted to talk about is our partnership with Oxford University in the UK. And what that involves is that after 2.5 years of studying the Juris Doctor at UWA, a student can apply to do the highly sought after University of Oxford Bachelor of Civil Law for a year. And so that means that after 3.5 years of full-time study, successful applicants will have both a UWA Juris Doctor and an Oxford Bachelor of Civil Law degree. So that is another partnership, global partnership that we have in place. So that, I think, is another opportunity that is there for you to pursue. So hopefully those are really good incentives for you to come over here and not only see Perth and all the beautiful opportunities that living here has to offer, but also to combine that with some further travel. So I'll now hand back to Bec.
Thank you very much, Meredith. That really brings our session to a close. We really wanted to give you a flavour for the JD and your study here. And thank you, Meredith and Marilyn, for filling us in on information about the possibility of exchanges once you're here with us, and also on what life might be like in Perth in the warm, sunny west for Canadian students. Thank you. And if you have any further questions, please do get in touch with Marilyn, Meredith, or with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, Marilyn, Meredith, Celine Dion's guest appearance. That was really informative. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know that you have busy schedules. So yeah, as you said, the questions, send them across. We'll definitely get those answered. We have about 20 minutes left of the fair, so you are more than welcome to jump back in there to ask some questions as well. All right, thanks a lot.